நண்பர்களே, கிட்டத்தட்ட 10 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு முன்பு திருவண்ணாமலையில் நண்பர் எழுத்தாளர் அன்பிற்குரிய பவாசலத்துறையினுடைய வம்சி பதிப்பக அமைப்பின் மூலமாக ஒரு விழா ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டு அதில்தான் முதல் முறையாக திரு விவேக் ஷான்பேக் அவர்களை சந்திக்கிறேன். அன்று அவருடைய வேங்கை சவாரி புத்தகம் குறித்து ஒரு விரிவான உரையாடல் அங்கு நிகழ்ந்தது. அன்றிலிருந்து தொடர்ந்து தமிழ் இலக்கிய வாசகர்களுக்கு ஒரு மிக பரிச்சயமான ஒரு எழுத்தாளராக அவர் மாறி வந்திருக்கிறார். அவருடைய படைப்புகளில் கன்னடத்தில் அவர் எந்த அளவிற்கு அவருடைய படைப்பை படித்தவர்கள் அவரை சென்று சந்திக்கிறார்களோ அந்த அளவிற்கே தமிழில் தன்னை வாசித்தவர்களும் வந்து சந்திப்பதாக அவர் பெருமையோடு சொல்கிறார். ஒவ்வொரு இங்கு நடப்பதைப் போலவே கன்னடத்தில் நடக்கக்கூடிய எல்லா இலக்கிய செயல்பாடுகளுக்கும் முக்கியத்துவம் தரக்கூடியவராக விளங்கி வருகிறார் திரு விவேக் ஷான்பேக். நம்முடைய அழைப்பை ஏற்று இந்த விழாவிற்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கும் திரு விவேக் ஷான்பேக் அவர்களை உரையாற்றுவதற்கு விஷ்ணுபுரம் இலக்கிய வட்டம் அன்புடன் அழைக்கிறது. சார், ப்ளீஸ்.
I must congratulate Ira Murugan for this award, and what a wonderful way to celebrate a writer. What I am witnessing, really big hand for and what I am witnessing from this afternoon is something wonderful, amazing. I don't know how to describe it. The very formation of this group 15 years ago itself is a wonderful story. I don't think anywhere in India we have any such group. It is so unique. This is so unique. It can only happen if you have so much love for your language, so much pride, and so much interest in literature and your writers. I really salute you for such a wonderful, for forming such a wonderful group. While I was watching Ira Murugan's documentary, there are a couple of things that, though I did not understand it fully because it's in Tamil, but something that I could pick up is multiple interpretation. That's something that I could pick up. And I have read him only in English and very little, whatever is available in English. And I think that fits into the description of how to describe his stories. I mean, it's a very good phrase to describe his stories and his writing. The other thing I must say is his contemporariness in his works, because he being a person who has worked in different industries associated with the technology and worked in different parts of the world, something that he brings in to his stories and novels is very unique. It is always difficult to write about contemporary issues because our childhood is so unique and only we know it, and none of you do not know, and you cannot question it. But once we start writing about contemporary issues, everybody has a view, because everyone is in some way or the other party to the same experience. So it's very difficult to write about contemporary issues and or use those metaphors because they are not yet formed. And Ira Murugan is one such writer who has done this very successfully. The third thing I picked up is about magical realism. But I think it is a term which is not so justifiably given away by India, because I think magical realism is so much part of Indian writing from the very beginning. Unless we were told that there was a term, we were not even aware that we were writing magical realism, really, because if you start from the Mahabharata, Ramayana, to even Kalidasa's work, Meghaduta, and so on and so forth, that it's really nothing but magical realism. But however, let me not get into that discussion. But something that is there very much in the Tamil imagination is evident in a story, because I recall when one of the characters was asking about, is there realism, right? Is there realism? And I remembered a story which is documented by David Shulman in a book called More Than Real. And the story is the one that is picked up from Tamil Nadu. And the story goes like this. There is a devotee of Shiva who wants to build a temple for him. But he does not have enough resources. He goes around asking people, and he was unable to muster enough support. So he decides to build a temple in his mind. So he starts thinking and building the temple in his mind, brick by brick. He first makes a plan, and then he builds, and then he paints it, and so on and so forth. At the same time, the king of the area also decides to build a temple for Shiva, and he builds a temple because he has all the resources. And there is, both these temples are ready, one in the mind of this bhakta, and the other is that of the king. And when it was to be inaugurated, the king prays Shiva to be present on the day of the inauguration. And Shiva comes in his dream and tells him that I am sorry, I cannot come on this day because there is another temple built in your own kingdom, and I have to go for the inauguration of this. So on that day, I will not be able to be present. And then king is so surprised that how can this happen? That without my knowledge, there is another temple being built in my kingdom, and Shiva prefers to go there. So Shiva had told him who, where, and so on and so forth. So the king comes in search of this person. He comes to the village, and then he inquires. And the people say, we do not know. I don't think there is any temple being built here. So finally he finds that person and then asks him, where is the temple? So then he discovers that the temple is in his imagination. And then the king bows to him, saying how greater this bhakta is. And this is a wonderful story in a book titled More Than Real. And I remembered that this is a tradition that this language and this culture has, which is so much natural for people to write such wonderful stories and then really erase the line between the reality and what is really magical about it. There is a story by Ira Murugan in which a stove, cooking stove, it starts making predictions. And it's a wonderful story. It is so, in a way it is funny, but in a way it is very deeply philosophical as well. And on one layer, it looks like, one is making fun of this, the predictions and so on, and talking about, predicting future. But at the same time, at another level, it brings out the angst and anxiousness of the people about their day-to-day life. Similarly, there is another story where a person who is joining all the pieces of a glass pieces and then makes them into a bottle and sells. Something that is the details of which and the way the story reveals is really that of a high quality craftsman. And I have no doubt that the people who have studied his work, and there is a book which was released today, have gone into much more detail than what I have done, because my exposure to his writing is very limited. However, even with this limited writing, I could feel the impact of this powerful writer. And I am really honored to be here today with all of you and in the presence of Ira Murugan. The last thing before I close, I want to say is about translations, because without that we would not have known each other. I would not have known Ira Murugan's work, or even for that matter Jeyamohan's work. In fact, when Jeyamohan's works, stories were published in English last year, I had written a blurb, and I said that our understanding of contemporary India is incomplete without reading Jeyamohan's work. And I really mean every word of it. And I feel that without translation, without reading him in Kannada, I would have really preferred to read him in Kannada. There are very little. Now there are, of course, some book recently published in Kannada, but I would have really liked to read him in Kannada. But without translations, we would not have. And there was a time when there were translations happening between Tamil and Kannada directly, between Malayalam and Kannada, and between Marathi and Kannada. But unfortunately, now the translators are not so many, and the direct translations are coming down. But I hope that being, Tamil and Kannada being neighboring languages, I hope that the translators, the direct translators, their breed will really grow, and we will have more and more translations between these languages. Because I think to understand our world, to understand this country, it is really important to appreciate the worldview of our neighboring states, writers, and also readers, because that appreciates the kind of appreciation that the readers do. Once again, I congratulate Ira Murugan for getting this award, and I also congratulate the organization for selecting such a writer and being consistent in awarding and having these events for the last 15 years. It's very easy to do two, because there is a lot of enthusiasm. Being consistent and sustaining it is very difficult, and you are doing it in such a wonderful way, and so many people are involved in it. I congratulate all of you, and I thank you for having me today here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sometimes being simple is the hardest thing, and you have made all the hard things in a very simple manner. Thank you, sir. நண்பர்களே, ஒரு இலக்கிய விழாவிற்கு வந்து ஒவ்வொரு கூரையும் பார்த்து உணர்ந்து தெரிந்து கொண்டு அந்த படைப்பாளியை பாராட்டக்கூடிய பெரும் மனது படைத்த விவேக் ஷான்பேக் அவர்களுக்கு நமது நண்பர்கள் அனைவர் சார்பிலும் நன்றி.